Hey, somebody's got to tune up the squad car. Gomer did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
This is about saving the future of humanity.
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth. I am the Professional Noticer.
There's a very logical explanation for all this. Quick, tell me.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. While our topics seem to vary wildly and crazily at times, it's because the things you care about most are often greatly affected by the things you care about least. Therefore, here I field questions about business and spiritual issues, popular culture, and tackle the odd conundrum like, is it possible for someone to drown in the fountain of youth? My purpose here today, and with every show we do, is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored by Kamado Joe Premium Ceramic Grills. You've been in the middle of something you love doing, but you're just frustrated by the tools you're using? Perhaps you already have a ceramic grill, a big one, but hey, you're the only one who can lift the lid to check on dinner. Heck, not even your 13-year-old can lift it. And yes, when you look at the back, the hinge does look like something a kid made in a high school shop class. Some years ago, this was pretty much the realization a couple of guys had about their grilling experience. They loved it. They grilled all the time, weekend after weekend. However, they were a bit disappointed with their grills. Now, as it turned out, these guys had the ability that allowed them to design and develop a better grill. The Kamado Joe, in all its sizes, with all its specialized tools, and its counterbalanced stainless steel hinge. Even on the Big Joe, a 10-year-old can lift the lid to fully open using a single finger. Kamado Joe is the world's best ceramic cooker. Check out KamadoJoe.com or anywhere fine grills are sold. Observations and answers is what we do here. I deliver the observations and answers. Of course, you provide the questions. Without you, there is no Professional Noticer. There's nothing to notice. The mission of the Professional Noticer is to help people live the lives they would live if they only knew how. And questions are a big part of that. Questions are a critical component of the person you and I aspire to become. So come on, make sure you do your part. Keep us on the air. We need your questions, or God will... No, that was Oral Roberts, wasn't it? Okay. We still need your questions. You can write me. Email is theprofessionalnoticer@andyandrews.com or call 1-800-726-ANDY. And listen, if I use your question on the air, the Professional Noticer will send you your choice of the Guided Traveler Experience or the 100-Year Parenting, which is a collection of 53 videos, each between 10 and 20 minutes. So, you ready? Our first question today is from Jack in Alberta, Canada. Let's listen.
Hi, Andy. This is Jack calling from the Great White North. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for your work. I truly appreciate your contributions to my life. But to get to the point, I think I have a problem, but I'm not entirely sure how to fix it because I'm not entirely certain what the problem is. I spent most of the last 20 years in a meaningless lap race of a career, and 2 years ago, I finally decided I didn't want to waste any more of my time or life running that race. So I burned the boats, and I left a very well-paying position. My wife and I fully engaged in a business my parents have been running in our community for the previous 30 years. And we met one of our goals, which was retiring my parents. In the last couple of years, my wife and I built a small team of like-minded people and more than replaced our incomes from my previous job. By any reasonable measure, we were successful. However, I feel stuck. I know there's a great deal more potential in this business than what we've achieved. And I know that we could be a huge blessing in the lives of our community financially if we were able to figure out how to really blow the lid off this thing. But I can't figure out what's stopping me from winning. How do you identify specifically what one's own self-limiting beliefs are and then overcome them? Thanks again, Andy.
Jack, thank you very much. I hope it's not cold up there right now. It's not cold up there now, is it? I guess it could be. After all, you're in Alberta, Canada. You probably knew that, though. Okay, you got a great question here, and to me it's a great question because I know there's nothing I can mess you up with. You are already successful. You're just feeling a sense of drifting. You're not knowing exactly which direction you should go, or maybe you know which direction you should go and you don't know why you're not going. But I love this, that you recognized that you spent 20 years of your life in something that you really didn't like. And kudos to you, man, for breaking loose, burning your boats, leaving that. I'm also very aware that you didn't just dive out of the boat and then look around and go, where do I swim to now? I mean, you had something that you went to. You were looking. It scares me when people say, I'm going to burn my boats. And I'm like, well, okay, but don't, burn it on shore when you can go somewhere. Don't burn it right in the middle of the ocean. But you had something, you evidently partnered with your parents, and your parents had been running a business in that community for 30 years. So obviously it was successful. And then you took over and you were able to retire your parents. Great for you. And then in the last couple of years, you replaced your incomes from the previous job. And by any reasonable measure, you say you're successful. But you got to be, I know you did stop and pat yourself on the back for that, right? I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. I understand feeling stuck when there's more potential. I understand that. You're probably a person who compares themselves to their potential. And that's great on one hand. I do that. But on the other hand, you just got to be aware your mind won't let you rest very often. Okay, because if you're comparing yourself to other people, then you can kind of look around and go, yeah, well, okay, I could take the weekend off. Or, yeah, okay, I'm doing better than everybody. I could take a month off. Or, well, I got to catch up. You look around, you see people, and it's an easy comparison. But it compares an average, okay, which is why, average people usually compare themselves with other people. I mean, that's why they're average, I suppose, or why they have average results. But incredible achievers manage to compare themselves to their potential. I'm convinced that is a better way to move forward, to compare yourself to your potential. But it's frustrating at times because where is that? Where's your potential? Every time you get close to it, it moves again. And a very wise man, in fact, I don't want to, I guess I shouldn't reveal his name, Will Baker, Dr. Will Baker, but a very wise man told me one time that, a successful life is always moving uphill, that you're always taking on the next challenge, moving uphill, and that on the last day of your life, it should be the steepest climb you've taken. And I hear him, and I believe it, and I believe that's what we should do. But at the same time, when I hear it, I go, "Whew, really?" but I know this is kind of what you're doing, Jack. Okay, because you're feeling like there is a potential here. Now, I love why you're feeling this potential. I do the same thing. If it was just about me, if it was just about my money, if it was just about my car, I wouldn't be doing this at all. Okay, but there is a larger thought process here that you have. You say you could be a huge blessing in the lives of your community financially if you could blow the lid off this thing. All right, now, I don't know how, but that's up to you to figure out. What you can't figure out is what is stopping you from winning. So let me tell you a couple of things that do stop people from winning. It would be easy just to say, well, fear. Fear, that's one, fear. And then let's fear, and then lack of knowledge, hold people back. Lack of wisdom derails people a lot of times. But I think we have to go bottom of the pool on this and figure out exactly what fear. There are different kinds of fear, or fears manifest themselves in different ways. There's that kind of fear where you don't want to talk to anybody, or you're scared to pick up the phone. I don't think that's your fear. I think there's the kind of fear where you're afraid of dealing with like unknown people, that, there's different people that you have to. I don't think that's your kind of fear either. There's a lot of different. Let me tell you what I suspect. All right, this is what I suspect, and it's only a suspicion, and only you can know for sure. But if I look at what you've done, you've already had a lot of success, and you would be a huge blessing if you blew the lid off the thing. Now, knowing what I know about business and life, but not knowing what it is you do, I can't help but think you do know how to blow the lid off this thing. That you do know, whatever blows the lid, you do know the activity that is required to do it. I think you know how to do it because you've already retired your in-laws. You've overcome your own income. So don't, come on, Jack. Don't tell me you don't know how to do it. You do know how to do it. Whatever you did, do it again. Okay, but I understand you're having a challenge with what's stopping you from winning. And here's what I suspect. I suspect that there is a fear of what the heck are you going to do when it's not a little business anymore and it's a massive business, and you've got so many people that you're dealing with, and so many different financial equations that you're dealing with. And I'll tell you something. If that's it, I want you to examine it. I want you to take it, own it, and examine it. Some people might dismiss this out of hand, but in the past couple of years, I have had a couple of occasions that people were about to become clients of mine, that I had already decided that I would indeed work with them. And at the last minute, they decided they didn't want to do it. And the first time I was stunned because everything was laid out. I mean, it was just so obvious we were going to be able to take this company and double them, maybe triple them. And it was so obvious. I mean, the plan was made, but listen, I was stunned. But by the time the second one did the same thing, I mean, virtually the same thing, I knew what was going on. I'd already kind of checked some background and gone in and talked to a couple of people just kind of on the sides and analyzed some conversation. And, it's a scary thing if you're heading a company and you've got 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 people, and it's taken you years to get to that point, and you've built slowly, and you understand how to add 5 people and how to add 10 people and how to add 3 people. And all of a sudden, some, bozo like me comes in and says, okay, you want to double in a year? And, initially it sounds really good. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to double? But then I found some people get to thinking, double? It would be a disaster. I mean, how would we handle all the people? What would we do? That would double our employment roles. That would double, what we had. I mean, how would we handle the insurance? Where would we put them? Our building's not big enough. And so these are all things that people let stop them. I talked to a couple one time that had come over to our house, and they were having a tough time. They were coming out of it, having a tough time. But one of the things I remember the guy of the couple saying, he said, well, one of the things that I just am determined, I do not want to get myself into a different tax bracket. I just don't want to do that. I don't want to get myself, where it goes up and I'm paying more taxes. I don't want to get in a different tax bracket. But then as we left, I walked them out to the car. They looked up at our house. Now, our house is not some mansion or anything like that by any means. We've had this house for 25 years. But he looked up at the house and he said, man, one day I sure want to have a house like that. And I didn't say anything, but I wanted to say, well, you're going to have to be in a different tax bracket to get it. But people don't want it's this fear of this unknown. And so I'm just going to give you a very simple solution. If that's you, if you're going, oh my gosh, it would be a disaster if we doubled, if we tripled, oh my gosh, if we quadrupled, they would put me in, this is going to be good. You're going to figure out, just like you figure out everything else you've ever done business-wise in your life. Everything has always changed, and you've always figured it out, Jack. And so look at this in the future, and just if you want to do it, just do it, and you'll figure it out as you go. But if you want to figure it out ahead of time, just play a game and lay out your little chess pieces, lay out, your life, and put it, okay, this is what happened, and it's doubled and it's tripled. Now, here's what we're going to have to do. And figure out what you do, but then get after it. Because, man, if what you're going to do is going to be a huge blessing in the lives of your community, then don't wait, Jack. Don't wait. All right? Thank you, buddy. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. Hey, here's a thought. Yeah, we all know you can go to the computer to find out why in ancient Egypt the slaves attending the pharaoh smeared honey all over themselves. Yeah, you can Google the amount of concrete used in the Hoover Dam. But here's a quick question. Where do you seek wisdom? Say you memorize an encyclopedia. Does that help you as a parent? Especially if the volume you memorized was not the volume P. With all you know at this point in your life, does any of that vast knowledge help you create peace in your family? What if you go back to college and got 7 different degrees? Would you be able to earn enough money in your lifetime to equal what you spent on an education? Look, pure knowledge, without the wisdom to apply that knowledge in the proper way, is more than useless. Sometimes it's just flat out harmful. So again, yes, you can do a doctoral thesis on the median income of the Basque population in Wyoming. But where do you seek wisdom? Allow me to suggest wisdomharbor.com. That's wisdom, H-A-R-B-O-U-R, harbor with a U. This is about you. Go there now to be welcomed by a friend of yours and to get a free 5-minute guided tour. That's wisdomharbor, H-A-R-B-O-U-R.com. Our next question is from Jennifer. She's from Austin, Texas. Let's listen.
Hey, Andy. This is Jennifer from Austin, Texas. I have a handful of parenting books and a few marriage books at my bedside. I've enrolled in 3 parenting courses. I've also joined numerous websites, podcasts, and organizations like the Culture Translator in just the past 12 months. Afloat throughout my home are workbooks and manuals to do parenting better, to do it well, really well. I'm curious if all of this work is distracting me from simply enjoying the sweet children before me at this time and keeping me from being present. When is enough enough? When should I just do it and stop learning, stop reading, stop trying to be better and do better? I know this may sound crazy, but I work really hard at figuring out how to be a better mom and do better. Yet I still struggle. I'm still totally humanly imperfect, and I still have angry outbursts and flop on feeding my growing children the nutritious meals their minds and bodies need. I believe in doing better, but recently had a thought that this idea of I can do better if only I learn more or how, etc., is really just keeping me from being in my season of life fully with joy. Well, thanks for noticing. And after hearing this, what do you notice about my life?
Jennifer, thank you. What do I notice about your life? Well, I tell you what, I give you a lot of points for just getting after it and learning to be a good mom and working to be a good mom. I give you tons of points, and so will your kids one day. But I got to say, along the way, you cannot drive yourself nuts. Okay? Just, as a mom, you're likely to be a little nuts. And so you can't really push it past that natural point. I think that some books are good. I think some, manuals are good. But, you ask, what do I notice about your life? And I think I kind of notice what you notice. You're saying you're curious if all of this is distracting you from enjoying the sweet children. And I think it is. When is enough enough? If what you have written down is what you are doing over and over and over again every day and week after week and month after month, when is enough enough? Now. Take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath, Jennifer. I know you aren't comparing yourselves with other moms, but I promise you are far ahead, whatever that top 1 or 2% might be. And a lot, not because you've read manuals, it's because you actually care. You're paying attention, but you got to pay attention to the right thing. You got to pay attention to your children. All right, don't pay so much attention to how to raise your children that you don't actually raise your children. Now, I know that's an overstatement, okay? Because I don't think you've done anything that is, harmful or that's the way it's going to be forever. I think, kids are very resilient. And I think, frankly, if your kids are younger, I think you're fine. Okay. I think that, working on them when they are young, that's the time to do it. But they can't have a crazy mama. Okay? I mean, just you need to be calm. And I sense that all that studying and trying to think, when the child does this, what am I supposed to do? What does the book say to do? Oh, that's a perfect example. I think that I think some quiet time. For a while, I wouldn't read anymore. I wouldn't, just put that stuff down for a while. Okay. And, I get this sense, I get this picture in my mind of when the kids go, that you're scrambling like crazy. with the kids, but then when the kids go down for a nap, the energy is like doubling, and you're really scrambling then. And I am asking you to dial that down right away. I think the amount of stuff you got floating around in your head is probably good for now. Okay, I think you pick and choose, but I think right now what you got is probably good. And I think that if the kids go down for a nap, maybe you ought to just sit there in that rocking chair in the room where they're taking a nap and just watch them sleep a little bit and close your own eyes and just be quiet. And I think a lot of times, see, you've crammed a lot of knowledge in there. That's a good thing. But now you need to sift through it. You need the time to create some context with some of that stuff. Okay, you want to turn that knowledge into kind, useful wisdom. And it can be because you got a lot there that you can turn around in your mind. I see this sentence here where you say that you believe in doing better, but recently had a thought, this idea that you can do better only if you learn more or how, and that's keeping you from being in your season of life fully with joy. I think that you're probably a very type A person. And I want you to get ready for the fact that these kids are not going to perform like you think they're going to. All right? Like we would write a script as a parent sometime. And I have seen times in my own parenting life when, I really wanted to teach and I wanted to fix it and I wanted them to understand. And I realized, or maybe Polly realized and told me, but, it's like, dude, dial it down a little bit. You're overdoing it. You're right now, they just need somebody to listen to them. Right now, they just need somebody to say, that is awesome. It was amazing to me when Austin was little, how often he would say, Dad, watch me do this. Watch me do this. And, if you said, I saw you do that. I saw you do it. He goes, yeah, okay. Yeah, but Dad, watch me now. Watch me now. Come here, Mom. Sit right there. Sit right there. Watch me ride my bike. Sit right there. Sometimes they just need your presence, and you can translate that calm to them, or you can also be so anxious about what you're doing that somehow they get the message that they're not doing right and they're not acting like they should, and it's not working. They aren't growing up normally. I mean, they wouldn't put these feelings into words, but these feelings get transferred to these kids by adults, I mean, they know what's important to us. They sense it. They sense if something's more important than them. And I just want to caution you, Jennifer, I think you're a great mom. But don't let becoming a great mom be the goal that keeps you from mothering your children. Okay? All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, guys. And, hey, I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk. Shake hands with the kids you meet. And make sure you have an answer to the question, is it always separate checks in the Netherlands? I mean, when going to lunch, they always go Dutch. And so, until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Artificial dandelions provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by the Louisiana Association of Aggravated Audiobook Listeners. The LAABL is a somewhat closed society. The association requires those seeking enrollment to actually be tested and auditioned. A determination must be made about the aggravation level of the prospective member. Is it high enough? This is, after all, the Louisiana Association of Aggravated Audiobook Listeners. If one cannot get really hot about a New York City audiobook narrator mispronouncing the same common Louisiana words again and again, if one cannot hit the roof at not a single New York City producer, editor, or proofer being able to catch the same mispronunciations, membership denied. They probably weren't from the South anyway. But please, whether you join them or not, continue to write angry letters to the audiobook's publisher. And be sure to include the fact that a small swamp boat is not pronounced pirogue. It's a pirogue. Despite some 1,000 years of spelling the name of our favorite panfish as B-R-E-A-M, it has always been pronounced brim. Oh, and the big river basin and swamp is pronounced Atchafalaya, not one of the 10 other ways we've heard narrators attempting to blunder through. And our most famous tree nuts are pronounced pecan, or pecan. We do not use the French pronunciation. We do not say pecan. That sounds stupid. We are the Louisiana Association of Aggravated Audiobook Listeners. Join us if you think you're mad enough.